What's up, gang? Yeah, this is Dominic DeAngelo of One True. Why is there another countdown going now? Hold on. Hold on a second. I'm not gonna say anything for a minute. I have something else. Here we go. There we go. I had another window up. Damn it, Dom. Well, it's good to be here. We're live, as you can tell. I am Dominic DeAngelo of OneTrueSportTV.com, and we are going to discuss what just happened on AEW Dynamite. Some pretty good highs, some head scratching decisions that even if you try to make sense of it, you really can't. Um, it kind of maybe speaks to perhaps what a game plan is for Brian Danielson moving forward here in AEW. That's the only thing I can kind of think of, but we will cover that. I want to get your guys' feedback in on this. We got Maddie in the house. Who I still need to get that information. I got to get that stuff out. He is the winner of the Bill Alfonso ECW tracksuit. So he will be getting that. I have to message Fonzie about that. So congrats to Maddie. Let's see if what jokes are appropriate I could say on here. Let's see. Ooh, here we go. Here's a good one. What's the difference between a car key and Trish Stratus? The car key doesn't turn me on. Hey, I like it. I like it. Uh, Who invented the round tables? Circumference. Ooh, I like it. I like it, Maddie. Good stuff. We got some people joining in. Come on in, everybody. The water's fine. And we are going to talk a little bit of the dynamite that went down. Pretty, you know, show start off extremely compelling. That video package, with almost like it's akin to Queens of the Stone Age playing in the background. It's very funny because Moxley used the term villains in his in that promo, and Queens of the Stone Age has a album called Villains that sounds very much like the sound and the music that was playing behind the scene, behind it while the video package is going on. So I thought that was really neat to note and really got you like, I was like, okay, I said earlier on Rumor and Innuendo, my other show on ad free shows, that with Robert Karpolis, I said that that whole thing, this whole angle with Danielson and the plastic bag and what kind of odd direction are they going in kind of thing was feeling more was having the could have the potential to be like the devil storyline, and you don't want that. You don't want that. But the opening of Dynamite kind of dispelled all that for me. I'm like, okay, I can forgive a lot of this stuff if they're setting the tone right here and getting Mox positioned in the right way and what his agenda is. Now we'll see how that kind of panned out later on. But I thought it was a very good start to the show. I also thought the opening match, the TNT Championship match between Jack Perry and Leo Rush, was a good, fine opening bout. Jack Perry drove up in a party van. Don't know what else is in that van. I guess it's more of a bus than a van, but he rode in the scapegoat van, and then he had his match, and he hit a devastating knee to finish off Leo Rush, and that was it. Like pretty definitive win there, and I think you need that with Perry. I think you need to establish him as this credible uh, champion, despite being a heel. You need to show that he's capable of defending himself, and kind of that's definitely the attitude you kind of want to garner, is making him look as credible as possible despite being a heel, despite being conniving, cheating, and selfish and mean spirited, if you will. So I thought this match got the point across and showcased Perry and put him in the right light. Then he had a little cryptic uh end of days kind of promo when it comes to him and Alex Marvez. Talked about being crucified, and that indicates, people will remember you in a different life or something to that effect. So Good opening way to kick things off here, I think, on Dynamite. Um, let's see. Let's see. Do they have a? Oh yeah, that's what he said. People like him are crucified in this life so they can be worshipped in the next. So don't know what that means exactly. But we got another compelling promo after that fact. Renee Paquette interviewed Hangman Page. And I'm kind of surprised. I thought they would make this more of a bigger moment than just a sudden backstage segment. The Hangman was in the main event of All Out and definitively defeated Swerve Strickland. So you would think like, oh man, we're gonna hear Hangman Page talk. Let's promote this. No, this kind of happened just right out of nowhere, right after the fact that when they interviewed Jack Perry, and we get more clarity of the direction that Hangman Page is going in, and that is a heel. No doubt about it. He does not feel conflicted about his decision. At least that's what he was not putting on in this moment. And he is going down a dark, dark path. And basically said if he had found 1,000 houses that Shane Swerve Strickland called home, he would have burned 1,000 houses down. And he meant every word that he said and every drop of blood that he stole from them. People saw it in person. Make no mistake, he meant it, and now he speaks to everyone. If you got in his way, if you stood between them or tried to protect Swerve from him, he will find you and he will hurt you. Then they reiterated, wow, he's obsessed with Swerve. He throws a dude down while he's walking away. A top flighter stand there like, hey, man, kind of like there. Then he runs into Dark Order. Evil Uno says he doesn't know who Paige is anymore. And then all of a sudden, he's confronted by Jeff Jarrett, friend of the show, Double J. He said he's seen this happen a million times to a lot of other wrestlers going down a dark path. And then once you're done, you feel shame, you feel horrible, you feel everything about it. And then all of a sudden, Paige pops him one, sucker punches him, and they start brawling it out. And that was not intended to say, but brawled it out there. And that was setting stuff up. I liked it. Hangman, I guess it's it makes sense for him to be a heel. I think they could have really gone either way. I would have liked to see him kind of be more of a baby face, because I think I said this before, and him taking out Swerve was a bad move ultimately, with all the violence that went down and everything like that. But I still lean on the side that he was a little justified in doing what he did. When you break into somebody's house and you stand over their firstborn child, and like it's just that's pretty bad. And then on top of it, then you tell him that, hey, I was watching you and your pregnant wife go to the hospital. And then I put it past me. I would be like, dude, I'm going to effing whoop your ass, And that's what Paige did. And then he burnt down a house that nobody was in. Arson's bad, guys. But, I mean, when nobody's in the house, it's just more revenge than anything else. It's still bad. Arson's bad. But, I think Swerve going after his family is a lot worse. There's other people involved, innocents involved. But now it's kind of a moot point at this point, because we got Hangman full blown heel going after anybody that was friends with Swerve Strickland. So interesting stuff. We're not probably going to see Swerve for quite a while, according to reports, how that seems. All right, here's another head scratcher here. Commander and Private Party come out for a trios match, but out come John Moxley, Marina Shafir, and Claudio and Pac, and they just destroy everybody. And you think about how talented and young and what a rising star that Commander is. He gets choked out by Marina Shafir. Can't you find somebody different than somebody like Commander to get choked out? He just seems just a complete burial of him, right? Like, come on. I know you're trying to make Marina Shafir look like a Rhea Ripley, or, somebody that's a real world beater and stuff. And she kind of gives off that attitude for sure. But find somebody else to choke out. Find, like, freaking Fuego del Sol back just to choke him out or something like that. It's just to do it to Commander. It's just really weird. Uh, just a poor decision, I think, from a grand scheme of thing. So, yeah, very funky, very funky. But Pac cut a good promo, said they've been very, very patient, but enough is enough. The company is broken. What happened Saturday at All Out was inevitable. They are inevitable, a product of the festering environment. And as for him, he's been very lost for so long. Hey, not anymore. Now he has something to believe in, a purpose. Diplomacy has failed, and the company is theirs. So that was the promo Pac cut. Really kind of sets more of a tone of what their agenda is moving forward. We get more of that later on. Ricochet, Sammy Guevara, great match, a lot of fun. These guys are very athletic, obviously. Ricochet is getting a lot of good moments to shine, to show everything what they're doing, and it was a fun match. I take big exception though. I believe the outside the ring count in AEW is 10. 10. They're out there for much longer on the outside than that, and that's a common occurrence in AEW. And I know that's a hefty criticism that they get thrown their way. And rightfully so. Like you have somebody like Rick Knox, didn't even mention Rick Knox trying to get him back in the ring and all that stuff while they're fighting on the entryway on the ramp, and then they ultimately go onto the stage. Sammy does a gigantic flip spot on the stage. This point, the match should have been thrown out. There's no reason to keep this thing going, right? It's like if you're follow the rules here. It just takes away from the credibility of the referees, and not the and AEW's has a lot of holes in their refereeing when it comes to their officiating and how they handle that. And is that in part because the talent just is like, well, whatever, we got to do these outside stuff and we want to do it. I just have, I it just it took me out of the match, and it's just like, okay, where's the rules here? If I were AEW, they want to do a lot more longer stuff on the outside. Change your rule book from 10 count to 20 count. Make it WCW NWO Revenge rules, okay? Have them count to 20. Uh, New Japan, that's what they do, right? A 20 count on the outside. Just switch it. Gives you a little bit more leeway. You don't have the pressure that the referees get put on them to try to get these talents back in the ring if they want to do some outside stuff. But you're taking away from the investing into the product a little bit. The little details that go with this. Like this is, you know, there's rules here, dude. This is not Nam, okay? So yeah, I would like to see that kind of get adjusted. That was just a glaring thing. But hey, great match. Ricochet ultimately wins. Sammy and him share matter of respect after the fact. And then Beast Mortos, the former Taurus, Black Taurus, comes in and spears Ricochet. Like to see that. Like to see that they're giving Mortos some screen time on their mainstream product. Will that continue? Or will this be a match that we see on Collision? Or will it be on Rampage? I would like to see this continue on Dynamite. You want to build Mortos up, have some segments with him maybe building to an on Collision or a Rampage, but I would like to see anything you do with Ricochet, and then when you do with a newer talent that you've signed, like, and who's very talented and has a presence like Mortos, get him on the Dynamite product. They did touch upon the street fight between Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale at All Out, so there's a little homage or a little hat tip to that. And then we get Renee Paquette interviewing Okada. Okada's very funny. He is. The mock crying stuff where he's like, this was such a hard match. And then just his delivery is like, no, it's not. It wasn't. It was very easy. It's just funny stuff. I liked it. I thought it would added to elevated the product a little, or the segment a little bit more. And then he gets confronted by Takeshita and Don Callis. Really going quick to a lot of this stuff. It's pretty crazy. Like, you kind of want to see that them kind of take their time with Takeshita and Okada, but there seems to be like, hey, let's get this focused in on. Very weird, too dynamic considering Okada's a heel and uh, Takeshita is with a heel Don Callis and has been positioned as a heel. And on top of it, uh, Okada's tied to the Elite, the Young Bucks, who are definite heels. It's just kind of weird in that regard. Uh, but Darby Allin comes out in the next segment, and that's been the thing. He showed up in the building. They showed a moment of him, and then they teased it. It was very what I did like about this whole thing when it came to Darby and the build to it throughout the first hour was I almost called them umpires. Jeez, the commentators built this up, made it feel like, hey, when are we going to see Darby? He's in the building. We know he's here. It felt like very Nitro, very Raw. Like if Stone Cold was showing up on Raw, hey, Stone Cold's in the building. We don't know when he's coming out. There's stuff going on. But he's entered, or Nitro would do that too. The NWO's somewhere here. We don't know what they're up to. We also get word that Sting's in the building. Like, so they kind of gave Darby that identity. I think that's really, really good to do. So Darby does come out and he's like, I hear I'm wanted out here. We know what's going on. Let's hear about it. So sure enough, Moxley and Marina Shafir come out. Moxley is in really good shape right now. By the way, that t-shirt he was wearing, you could see he's cut, man. He's ready to roll. And anywho, Darby brings up stuff from his past and how they and him and Mox share some similarities, then reveals a story he's never told before and basically said how big of a fan he was of Moxley, how everybody else seemed, that he tried to get behind or tried to look up to and stuff like that. They all ended up being kind of fake, but Moxley was always real and true to himself. But then he did what he did to Bryan Danielson at All Out, and now he doesn't consider him that anymore. So what does Jon Moxley want? And this is what Jon Moxley wanted. He wanted Darby to give up his AEW World Title shot at Grand Slam. Also made mention that, hey, Danielson's not going to be able to compete, but I want you to give me that title shot. If I'm trying to do the math in my head or the logistics of it all, of this is what he wanted him to talk about, I could buy into it, I think, because Mox has been being positioned as that heel. He says Darby doesn't fully understand the agenda. I thought it was kind of weird, though, that he's like, you're never going to be a world champion in AEW, but I think you're awesome. I don't know. That was kind of weird. But the like that, I don't know. It's him explaining that there's more to this than you don't know, and I don't have time to explain it. I like that kind of stuff because it does create the hey, what is going on here? We if you tie it back to earlier in the evening, you know, what Pac said, like and everything like that, it's like, okay, what is happening here? There's more to going on. We don't fully understand all this. Why is Mox doing these things? Uh yeah, but him kind of like downplaying like Darby, like you're never gonna be a world champion. I don't know. It's just like games, maybe you could buy into that. I could buy into that, I guess. But hey, Darby accepts with us all thinking that Bryan Danielson is not going to be competing at Grand Slam. And hey, it makes sense. He was choked out with a plastic bag. So it does make sense, right? From that standpoint, it does. At this moment in time, makes a lot of sense. Okay, we won't see him in a couple of weeks. He's got to take a, pun intended, a breather. So, okay, but we'll touch upon that in a little bit more. So we get all that. Did like the segment when Darby comes out in that robe. I just keep thinking how warm he's got to be in that thing. Like, uh, especially if you're in an arena and the lights are on you like that, man, you got to be roasted in that thing. That's like bigger than a Ric Flair robe from the 80s, like the fur coats, I mean, or the Dusty Rhodes stuff. They did. I thought it was kind of cool. Oh yeah, I'll So backstage, we see Christopher Daniels is being interviewed before he gets interrupted by Nigel McGuinness. Hey, he wants to talk to Tony Khan. So you're thinking, hey, Nigel McGuinness is returned to the ring, but against who? Who would he be doing this against? Because he wants to talk to Tony Khan. AEW did take a moment to commemorate September 11th, which is 23 years ago. Wow, isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Everybody knows where they were on September 11th. I was in my 11th grade English class, and Lantazado, one of my classmates, came into the room and was like, "Hey, one of the guys, you got to turn on the TV. A plane just flew into one of the twin towers." At that point, I had no idea what the twin towers were. I heard of them before, but they weren't very much on my radar. And so I remember us turning on that television and watching, and then watching and seeing that second plane hit, and wow, crazy. Super sad. All the stuff that happened after the fact, the people that passed away, Flight 93, and those are the two planes that crashed into the buildings, and then firefighters and the rescue teams and the poor people that died in the collapse and everything. It's just, oh my gosh, unfathomable to kind of factor in. Definitely, you know, everybody knows where they were when that happened, and all prayers always go out for those families and the people that passed away that day. So nice that AEW did that. So there we go. Not nice is an eliminator title match. Mariah May taking on Queen Amanada. I said it right earlier today. I swear I did. For this eliminator title. Look, Queen Amanada has a presence about her. She knows how to carry herself. Just seeing her walk to the ring like that, man, she's got a look. She's got a presence. She is super understated, and she can go. They have this match, and it's a fun match, and it's like kind of competitive. But Mariah May ultimately just jobs her out. And it's just another eliminator match. It's a showcase match for Mariah May. No build for Queen Amanada. They don't give really any background about her aside from their basics. And they don't do her any favors with this. There's no favors. So you want us to remember Queen Amanada coming out here, having a great look, a great presence, and looking kind of credible, like against a Mariah May, but ultimately losing. It's not fair. I don't think it's a good way to start somebody off like that for a fresh set of eyes on your mainstream product. Somebody that's that talented, that has that kind of look, that you could really put your chips behind and help build your women's division up. Just job her out. It's stupid, and it's an eliminator title match. You don't need to do it. You want to do this, out somebody else for Mariah May to beat, but not somebody like Queen Amanada that you hear so much about. I've heard about her for like several years at this juncture. I remember trying to reach out to get an interview with her early on because I was like, this woman is talented, and I think I heard that from Thunder Rosa. And so I was like, I tried to make an effort to go and reach out and interview her, and she was nice enough to get a hold back to me. And she's like, "Hey, sorry, I'm not doing interviews right now," but just I don't get it. The fact that you're doing this to a particular star, and then on top of it, it's an eliminator match. I don't like it. I don't like this. I thought Mariah May is awesome though. Like her rolling on the mat and acting all melodramatic and like, I want you to her friend. Everybody's thinking she might be talking about Tony Storm, but she calls out oh my gosh, I can't remember the woman's name. I'm sorry. But the other friend there, I thought was well done. But again, eliminator match, putting somebody in a position like that where they lose like that. Get one of the, you just had one of the, my God, why am I forgetting people's names right now? The twins, the two twin girls, the Renegade twins. They had one of them lose the other last week. Have her face the other twin. I don't know. Just did something different. That don't put somebody in a position like that. Thank you, Bryant Haremza, Mina Shakira. Is that her name? But thank you very much. Yeah. So I love Mariah May. I really, really like Queen Aminata, and they just don't really do anything. It's just, am I overreacting that? I don't think I am, but let me know. Young Bucks cut a promo backstage and how they always considered themselves the greatest tag team, but nobody's been stepping up to them. Nobody has been stepping up to them, and they need people to prove it. They need to the tag teams to prove it to go up against them. Good heel promo. I really like the Young Bucks. I like them as smarmy heels, and in this role, I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but I really think they walk a fine line of pushing buttons, and they know what they're doing. That's the other thing. They do. So, okay. Good little segment there. All right. We get a triple tag match, trios match. Bear Boulder, Bulk Bronson, and Jack Jameson. That's their names. I knew Bear Boulder, and I know Bronson, but I didn't know he changed it to Bulk Bronson and Jack Jameson. That's quite the name. That's like they're definitely carrying on the bounty, or what was it? The bounty that had the mountain man on it, or was it? Yeah, whatever the paper towels were. I don't think it was bounty. It's a different one. Brawny. That's what it is. Versus the Learning Tree, Big Bill. Speaking of paper and trees and all that stuff, Big Bill, Brian Keith, the Bad Apple. His new music's awesome, by the way. And Chris Jericho. Fun little match. Big Bill looks awesome. Wrestles awesome. Love that Brian Keith does the Diamond Dust. Akin to Simon Diamond in ECW. That's such a cool finisher. And it was the finisher. Jericho did his classic flexing pin stuff. Really fun. I forgot to mention too, earlier on in the evening, the Learning Tree pulled up in a blue Bentley. So you're kind of thinking like, well, does AEW have the budget to like destroy a really, really nice car like that? They definitely do, but do they want to do that just for like, that seems like such a Vince McMahon, hey, let's crush this car, like kind of thing. So I was like, are they going to do something with this car? Like, maybe not. Maybe they'll just drive up in it. But sure enough, it was the cake. It was Chekhov's cake. And so, but before I get to that though, Jericho, his initial delivery with "Hi guys," that's the way he should be doing it. And I know he's doing the really high elevated thing to just get heat, but him delivering "Hi guys" is like this condescending kind of thing is the way to do it, and I think really adds a better layer to it than what he's been doing with the whole this new identity that he's getting or persona that he's doing. So either way, they win the match, and Jericho's wearing the orange juice douse jacket still, and he gets on the mic and basically demands money back from Orange Cassidy. And then they have his bag, they have his book bag, and he pulls out a picture. Now I thought they were gonna plant something in there, like you initially see the picture frame, you think it's probably the picture of the Learning Tree, and you're like, oh, you're really into this kind of thing. But no, it was the picture of the best friends, Chuck Taylor, Trent, and Chris Statlander. But then Orange Cassidy appears on the big screen, doesn't seem phased by that, and says like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna pay you back." I was like, it's funny stuff. He's like good visual. Orange Cassidy's always good at this stuff, and like has lint and I think a Q-tip and a couple of quarters maybe. But then he's like, "Oh, my buddy's got the rest of it," and sure enough, there's Mark Briscoe and Kyle O'Reilly pulling up in like it's not a forklift. What are those called? Not a tow truck. Whatever the thing is that dumps the stuff, dumps the dirt. It dumps a whole bunch of coins on the Bentley. And funny, it is, but the visual itself felt kind of lackluster. And the sound, it did not pack as Jericho's like, oh, my belly. And you're thinking, okay, the coins are scratching maybe a little bit, but is it really that bad? Like, I don't think it didn't feel like that. It didn't pack that oomph, I think, that they maybe were expecting or anything like that. Front loader, thanks, Maddie. He works on. He likes got a whole bunch of. He deals with animals and all that stuff. Maddie knows about it. Uh, yes, Brian, good call on this too. I noticed that too. Um, the look Big Bill gave Jericho when he said, "You have no friends; they're just using you." That to me was a setup for Big Bill to turn. Yeah, that's very astute observation. Yeah, I thought that was great. I did too. I was like, was that a little Easter egg there of what's to come. So pretty cool stuff. They know the babyface value that Big Bill has. You just hear it straight from the crowd reaction and everything like that. So seems like the right move to do here, and it helps recharge stuff that people have been really critical of with Jericho when it comes to this learning tree stuff. So if you can get Big Bill in the mix of like, hey, going up against Jericho, it's kind of what you want. And people kind of give Jericho a hard time saying like, well, he's not really built anybody that's come across in AEW or anything like that. I can kind of push back at that. Um, I really do think he helped Sammy Guevara out. I think some of Sammy's actions after the fact caused speed bumps in the development of him and the value that AEW has seen in him since then. I think, Sammy getting suspended and certain things like that, that's tripped him up more than anything else. I think Jericho put him in a very, very good position that really did elevate him and make him feel like a rising star, a pillar of the company. So I do think Jericho did a great job at that. Secondly, I also think he elevated Orange Cassidy with his feud. Sure, it was a mimosa whatever that was. But I also think it helped kind of further define Orange Cassidy in a time where people were very polarized with him, and people are still polarized with Orange Cassidy. But he's people I think look at him more as a credible talent. I mean, an ardent AEW fan does now. Um, and more of the fan base does. Now, obviously, he'll still have his detractors and people that don't feel that way because his gimmick is polarizing. And hey, I'm not like necessarily like it's not that I don't understand that, I do, but I think there's a lot of value in Orange Cassidy and what he presents himself. I buy into the character, and I think he's somebody that is kind of like a Swerve Strickland, where he has that ability to reach outside of wrestling and bring new people in. Jericho, I think his feud with Jericho helped define Orange Cassidy as a bigger star. Um, so there's times where Jericho's didn't necessarily help people out, like despite having matches with them. I think that the intent is there because Jericho, I think, always in the back of his head is thinking how Scott Hall put him over back in WCW when he didn't have to. So Jericho thinks he's going to be helping people. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you think of an Action Andretti. Is this all on Jericho? I don't know if this is necessarily all on Jericho, really, when it comes to that. It's the booking and handling of certain talents after the fact. Action Andretti, we saw nothing more of. Maybe it's an attitude issue with Action. I'm not saying there is an attitude issue with Action Andretti at all. I don't know. I never interviewed him. I never spoke to him. I don't hear things about him. I'm just saying the handling of him, they didn't use him after the fact. So where do I don't think it's necessarily fair to say Jericho does not. People don't get a rub from working with Jericho. I disagree with that. I think he does elevate people. Even Brian Keith at this juncture, I think, yeah, he's got the comedic aspect to him and things like that. He's with Jericho. He's getting the TV time. He's with Big Bill. He's got a moniker that's recognizable and people can recognize and all that stuff. So I don't subscribe to the fact that people get hurt by working with Jericho. I don't, and that's my thought. So there we go. Where was I going with this though? Did I cover everything I wanted to do? Yeah, I did. Okay. All right, here it comes, guys. The head scratcher of perhaps the year. Everybody's excited that Nigel McGuinness is back. Nigel McGuinness is excited Nigel McGuinness is back. Seeing him at All In come out. He deserved that moment. Such a cool moment. Oasis playing. That crowd was all for it. It had to happen. It was cool it happened. And it created the intrigue of, hey, when will he face Bryan Danielson? You can't be more excited for something like that. It's really cool. Harkens back to their history, their long, extensive history. And just really cool stuff for Nigel McGuinness, who's uh, props to him. I believe he was the color commentator wrestler of the year on PWI, and well deserved. Honestly, best heel commentator going right now is Nigel McGuinness, and very much akin to the Jesse Ventura or the Bobby Heenan stuff. He's good at it. He's very good at it. So it was neat to see him get that kind of recognition. So anywho, comes out, has the mic in his hand, has a piece of paper in his hand, and says Danielson's been afraid of him for all these years. They know their rivalry. They know where they stand. People can, and he makes fun of Danielson. Even brings up Justin Roberts getting choked with the tie back in the WWE days. Fun, heelish, clever stuff. So he's talking about Grand Slam and how you can't miss a show like Grand Slam. You can't miss a show like Grand Slam. You're the world champion. You have to do this. You have to have this happen. The fans need it to happen. And here, I have the paper in my hand. Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson at AEW Grand Slam. If you can make it, Danielson, it's on. It's on. Why? Why is it on? Tony, what are you doing? Like, Danielson had a match at Grand Slam just an hour ago with Darby Allin. And then he didn't, which is okay because, hey, he nearly got suffocated by Jon Moxley. Was this something Jon Moxley has planned all along to choke out Danielson, get him off there so he can go up against Darby and take his title shot? Seems like a good game plan, right? Seems to make sense, right? Yeah, I bought into it. I think we all kind of did. I think that that makes sense. So why now is he going up against Nigel McGuinness at Grand Slam? Can't he do this? Can't you have this match later on? Can't you have it the next pay-per-view after Grand Slam? Is that Wrestle Dream? So makes absolutely no sense. No sense whatsoever. It doesn't. And then later on, during the main event, they pop up the graphic. It's official. Danielson will be taking on Nigel McGuinness if Danielson can show up. It still makes zero sense. Wouldn't Darby be like, hey, come on, no. If he can compete, I'm fighting him for the title. And screw you, Moxley. No, it's off the table. Zero sense. Zero sense. I am all for seeing Nigel McGuinness take on Bryan Danielson, but this makes zero sense. And it's an insult to the fans' intelligence in a lot of ways. You want us to just subscribe to, okay, well, yeah, we want to see this match, so let's just make it happen. Yeah, no, you could navigate that a different way to make something like that happen. Whether that's Darby Allin being like, you'd really have to position it differently, but you could basically be like, have Nigel come out and stake claim, have him instead Darby come out, have Nigel come out first and be like, hey, I want to face Danielson at Grand Slam. I don't care what happens. Tony Khan, you make this happen. You make it happen. He's got to get healthy for it. Everything like that. Like, have Nigel say all that stuff. Like, right off the bat. But Darby's supposed to be taking on Danielson at Grand Slam. Darby is. And You can be like, Darby is backstage. Renee catches up to him first, and been like, hey, Darby, what do you think of what Nigel has had to say about all this? Do you like? He's trying to take your title. He's trying to take your match at Grand Slam, and Darby can be like, listen, Danielson's been through a whole lot of hard stuff. If I feel for him, I still want my title shot. I want this all on the line, but I also understand the history he has with Nigel McGuinness. He can face him, and I'll get my shot later on against Danielson. So, yeah, I know Danielson would want to face Nigel, shut him up, all that stuff. Do it like that, and then later on, you can have Moxley be like, "Hey, you don't have your title shot at Grand Slam. You owe me that title shot. I want that title shot. Give it to me. That's why I want this. That's why I wanted to confront you." Then you just position it like you just did. Just switch it around. Switch it. Take those hours and just flip them on over. It makes a lot more sense than what you just did. Really weird. Head scratching weird. I like the show that they did tonight. I was very invested through the better part of the first half. And up until that point, just like, what the hell? That makes zero sense. Seriously, such a weird, like, you're insulting your fan intelligence by doing that. And people want to see this match. I want to see this match. I want to see Nigel versus Danielson, of course, but not in that, not at the expense of it just shoehorning in. Now, does this speak to maybe Danielson's game plan moving forward? Or is this just speaking strictly that Tony Khan wants these matches to happen, and he kind of painted himself in a quarter by having Darby win that match so early on, and now plans have changed, and here it is like that. Is this an indication that Danielson maybe is destined for a shorter title run and doesn't have a lot planned, so they're trying to squeeze a lot of stuff in before he gives up that title, possibly? Or is it just a change of game plan because Tony Khan wants to position this story in the right way where it makes sense for Moxley and certain things like that. But this is all at the expense of what we just saw tonight. So where's this all lie out on? I I'm sure this is going to be heavily criticized tomorrow by a lot of people, but this just doesn't make sense. I'm excited for the match, but I'm not as excited when it doesn't make that much sense. I don't know. Yeah, it was the number one title. He was the number one contender. Now what? Oh yeah, he still is, right? And this is not going to be a title match like him and McGuinness. I don't think so. But like, where's the stakes at? Doesn't Nigel want this for the world title? Wouldn't it make sense to eventually give him that world title shot? It seems like this is the more I think about it, the more this seems just like this is not going to be a very long run for Danielson with this world title. Uh, Interesting. Yeah, I could go for some steak too right now, Maddie. Um, so there you go. There's what I think. Hook cuts a promo outside in front of some trash. A dog runs by. Um, he wants Roddy Strong opens a challenge to him. There we go. Um, I like Hook a lot. I do. I subscribe more to the fact that the less he talks, though, the better. It's almost like he's almost got like the Sting. He's very much maybe a modern day Sting in certain ways when it comes to the Crow Sting. You know, he's more about look, can convey more with just not talking, and gets his point across. I don't know, I understand that you want to develop him and make him grow as a bigger star, and having him speak more should try to help him in certain ways, but doesn't necessarily need it. And I think I don't think it really puts him in the best position uh, when you do that. I would just have him eat a bag of Fritos and say a couple of words, and that's it. That's it. Um, yeah, I it's putting it in a tough situation, I think. All right, main event time. FTR is the first to start this casino gauntlet. Then I'm looking at who comes up. Oh, so it's Osprey and Fletcher. I did want to note too earlier in the evening, very early in the evening, we had that backstage segment where Don Callis was like, "Hey, I'm calling in my favor to you, Will. Want you to tag up with Cal Fletcher and try to win these tag titles. Get that shot." Will doesn't want to do it at first, saying he's got a lot on his plate, but he thanks him. Then Don reminds him that he's got this favor and he's willing to cash it in right now. And then him and Fletcher get on the same page. Sure enough, they're going to do it. Wanted to say that all that because I thought Kyle Fletcher is really good at in front of the camera when it comes to segments like these. He's his inflection and how he delivers a promo, I guess, if for lack of a better way to describe it, uh, was great. Like there's so much potential in Kyle Fletcher on the microphone and in the ring. So really cool. But yes, so we had FTR, we had Osprey and Fletcher, we had the Righteous, we had Top Flight, the Undisputed Kingdom, um, the Outrunners, the Acclaimed, MXM Collection, all in this match. Grizzled Young Veterans have ultimately come out too. And this is a fun, kind of chaotic match. First ever Casino Gauntlet with tag teams. Um, Not as good as the single stuff, I would say. There's just a lot of chaos going on. Uh, People were really into the Outrunners, as they should be. A lot of fun. Crowd was super into them. They had some really, really great hope spots in there, like people really cheering behind them and wanting them to win. And they got close. Got close. Um, but ultimately, it ended up being Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher getting that W. Uh, so it did give the Outrunners a chance to shine. Got them more eyes on them, and as they rightfully should have a lot of eyes on them because they put in the work, like of doing stuff online to make them stand out. They have followed the Matt Cardona blueprint of doing the hustle on your own to get yourself over on a product where you're not heavily featured, and they got themselves featured, and then that's what earned them this spot in this match. And so AEW is aware of what they have with them, so I think it was a good chance for them to shine on there. And but all that considered, you get established people like a Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher going up against Young Bucks. Going to be a great match. Going to be really, really cool. Could create a great story out of it too. Considering Will Ospreay maybe wants to break away, has already broken away from the Callis family. But if he's a tag team champion with Kyle Fletcher, how broken away is he? There's going to be expectations put on, create some intriguing elements from that. Now, but did they build anybody besides with the outside fact of the Outrunners? Uh, XM were in there. They had some cool spots in there. Kind of helped them out a little bit. But a lot of these tag teams are already established, and kind of you think about, you know, part of the course. That's kind of what it feels like. This was a great opportunity to get a lot of different tag teams, newer tag teams, younger tag teams over. Uh, and that I think that was just a missed aspect of this match. Uh, I thought, it's gonna be cool to see what they're doing with Fletcher and Osprey. But like Osprey's, like he said in the promo, his plate's pretty full. He's got a lot to worry about, a Ricochet to worry about, all this other stuff going on. And you want to make the most of your stars. Is he going to be overutilized here? Is there stuff that's gonna come into play? I don't know. Osprey is such a big, big star, and they really should use him in the right manner and keep the focus on in certain things. This is take so you're putting it. This might build to a story, but you're also not building any new tag teams. Like this is just like, hey, this is well, very much what WWE did it back in the day when you paired up two main eventers to go for the tag titles. You're not building tag teams. This is just getting these single stars over in certain ways. So this is kind of what that feels like, and it'll be fun. That match will be fun, but I don't know, Um, So yeah, Dynamite had some good moments. Starting off, I was really, really invested for the majority of the show, and then the Nigel McGuinness news is great. We're gonna get that match, but sure screwed up a whole lot of story, sensible stuff going on. Um, so I'm still intrigued by the Moxley storyline and what their game plan is there. But you know, it's just very, very. There was some missteps taken with what they did tonight in regards to getting Danielson and McGuinness together, and then getting like now this match with Moxley and Darby seems senseless in certain ways. Like because Darby should be really facing Danielson right now. It just makes no sense. They had it make sense starting off. They should just switch the segments between one another, and you could have told a story a little bit maybe more. I don't know, just dumb. But yeah, that'll do it for this. The live stuff is always fun to do. Yeah, Brian Horenza makes a good point here. Why would you not build this matchup for the pay per view? Wrestle Dream. That match in Brian's home state would be absolute gold. Only thing I could think of, Brian, and this furthers maybe the point that I was saying earlier, is maybe that will be where Danielson drops the title, and they probably don't want that to happen against Nigel. So whoever he faces there could be your next AEW World Champion, and then Danielson's done full time. Yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing I could think because like that would be a headline match right there. Build it for the pay per view. Tell that story there. So yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think that you know Danielson's title reign is not long for this world. So, um, so enjoy while we have them, I guess. All right, guys, that should do it. Hey to Eddie Prather for joining in. These are thanks so much for Maddie for being so interactive here today. We had Toronto 95 in. He called me Don, then he called me Dominic. So thank you, thank you. I want to shout out thanks for Brian Haremza for giving some good feedback and input. Really appreciate you guys joining me late. If you're on Twitter tuning in, hi. Feel free to subscribe to the One True Sport YouTube channel for free. Like, subscribe, share it out, and get the word out about us. We're gonna want to make this a whole big thingamadig here. And gotta say, shout out to Jared Mulcahy, my college roommate. He did not tune in tonight. He is not a wrestling fan, but he said, "Will you shout me out if I go to bed?" And I was like, "You're the only exception I will do for that." So I did it. Hi, Jared. So there we go. Leprechaun of No FC says, "Hey Dom, how's RVD been?" Well, you can maybe figure it out this week. Game plan is typically tomorrow. Once I confirm that with Rob, I will make that announcement. We go 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, typically on Thursday nights. So maybe we'll see you tomorrow there if you want to join. I'll let you just got to keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled on RVD's Twitter account. That's where the announcements get made. I'll also be on One True Sport. Follow us at Real1TS on Twitter. So and you'll find the announcement there too. Keep tuned in. Me and RVD might be going tomorrow. Want to make sure wanted to shout out everybody that was in here. Looks like I got everybody covered. So thank you guys for joining in. Yeah, always fun to do. This is only my third One True review I've done. So need to kind of review this show, give my immediate thoughts on the product. Thought it was a fun show, like I said. That whole Danielson McGuinness stuff just doesn't make sense. Excited for the match, really excited for the match. Happy for both guys, but come on, I don't. Yeah. Also, excited to be joining Denise Salcedo on her team for Instinct Culture. I will be the one facilitating the tweets of the Instinct Culture account, giving you some wrestling news on there. So be sure to follow her. You might already follow her. She does great. She's a great hustler. She does great work. It's so neat to see her kind of really just it's all about putting in the grind, and she's somebody that does that. Like, she'll go to everything. She goes overseas to do stuff. I sat beside her during Royal Rumble and watched her kind of work, and it's impressive. It's like holy crap, she's doing screenshots. She's writing stuff as it's going on. Just screenshot here, maybe a video here, but like tweeting stuff out just in the moment of the Royal Rumble going on and everything like that. I was just like, wow, that's impressive. So people hate on people that are successful, and she's something that's very successful, and so she gets, unfair criticism made about her, and it's just a hat tip to the work that she does. When you're doing something right when you got your detractors, and so she's doing a great job. I'm excited to join that team, help kind of further and build the instinct culture brand as well. So I appreciate you guys helping build this One True Sport brand. This has been a lot of fun so far. We're only going on 4 months now. June, July, August, September. 4 months now. Still pretty young company, huh? So if you guys want to support, be sure to like, subscribe, check out our new tees. We got Bruiser Brody in the house now. Very exciting. I don't know if I can announce the other one. It's official. We have him under our banner, but I think I'll wait till we get some stuff out there for that. But all right, guys, that'll do it for me. Appreciate you guys joining tonight. Get the word out, spread the love, help us all out there. But really appreciate your guys' patronage. And I'll see you tomorrow if you want to join Rumor and Innuendo at noon Eastern Standard Time. Me and Robert Karpelis will be discussing Dynamite, and you'll get his input on it either. Maybe I'll change some opinions since then. We'll see what happens. But thanks for joining. Fun show tonight. And I'll see you next time here on One True View. Bye, guys.